Right, so let's get started with part 1. Let's take a look at the part before we begin. I think first of all, the view along the pencil here is going to be my elevation, so that's going to be the front view of things, and I want to understand how this goes together. So what happens here is these two parts come together and they clamp, and at the point that they're clamping around the handlebar, which passes through that kind of space in there, clamps around the handlebar, and at the same time as it goes around the handlebar, it also captures these 1, 2, 3, 4 little cylinders right here. So this all comes together and forms a kind of clamping action. We can see there's a little space in there, and I think that little space right in there is to accommodate the thickness of that right there. Okay, so we only start drawing once we understand the part, and I think that's how things go together here. So let's go ahead. I'm going to fold the fold lines are on here so I can fit it on camera. Alright, so let's pop fold lines like this and see if I can fit this on camera at the same time as the drawing I'm doing. Maybe this side. Right. Okay. Right, so part 1. Let's look at the elevation. Okay. Now we've got to get this proportionately correct. Let's pop that up there. So elevation down in this area right here. Now what I like to start with is a kind of what I call a bounding box. In other words, I look at the overall length and the height, and I pop in a rectangle which I think proportionately matches that. So I'm using construction lines right here, and I'm just going to try and find those shapes. So I think I've got a little step in, maybe that size, and then I've got a semicircle. Okay, so I've got, roughly speaking, I've got a kind of semicircle going over here like this, semicircle over like that, then a little shelf, then a step up, and out about there. So I think I've got this too long, alright, so I think the end of it is roughly about there. So let's add some thickness to this, bring this back in. So 3mm thick, 30mm wide. So I'm trying to get this proportionately correct, okay? 3mm, 3mm there, and then 3mm across like that. Don't forget you can turn the page, okay, to find that sort of favourite sketching angle that you've got. Okay, so I'm still using really light pencil work just now. So once I've built this out, once I've got my proportions correct and I'm happy with it, I can start to turn the visible lines into outlines. So leaning a little bit heavier on the pencil now. Let's put these in. Keeping everything nice and crisp. Take that over, and take that down to there. Likewise up and over. Okay. So I think that's the shape that we're looking at. We've got some hidden detail. We've got a little hole which goes through there. Let's put in some hidden detail for that right there. And we've got holes up here. Put in some hidden detail up there. Holes of course need a centre line through them as well, so let's put a centre line through these, which is up just like that. Actually, we should also have a centre line at the centre of that as well. So let's put a little centre mark in there. Because it's a half circle, we only have to do half a centre mark like this. Okay, I think that's my elevation done. I'm going to project that up and I'm going to try and create a plan drawing now. So this is easier for me if I turn it on its side, and now what I'm going to do is, using construction lines, is I'm going to project up the main parts of this shape let's just worry about the visible things we can see. Alright, and once again, let's just pop in a bounding rectangle. Now I notice from the drawing that it's about 30mm across, okay, which I guess is about there, something like that. And from the top, it's basically one big rectangle. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in like this. I've got the line here and the other line at the end of the semicircle over here still to do. Let's find them, let's project up, it's along there, and project up, it's right there. And we've got holes to do. Okay, so let's take the centre line, project that up, centre line here, project that up. Now, I've got one hole right in the centre of this flat area right here. So right in the centre here, I've got a hole right there. And on this side, I've got two holes, side by side. So let's try and figure out where these might be. I've already put the centre line up, so let's say we'll put one there and one there. Now, let's nice and light to begin with. Try and get them planned out. They're both going to be the same size, so I think there. In fact, what we should really do is we should send a line up and figure out the size of them. Oh, I've pretty much got that spot on. So that's the visible stuff. But what about the invisible stuff? What about this corner right here? That represents an edge going from front to back. So let's project that up and find out where that is. So that's along there. We've got a piece of hidden detail along there like this. And that one is right in line with that one. So that the hidden detail underneath that's obscured by that visible line, but look, we've got a little piece of hidden detail up there like that. Okay, centre marks now. Centre lines, long dash, gap, short dash. Put little centre marks in. And of course we need a centre line going through the middle of this as well. Okay, that's looking not bad. Okay, let's think about the end elevation now. Okay, so the end elevation is, you can see this sort of person that I've drawn here, he's going to be looking along at that side of the shape. Okay, actually, do you know what I've just noticed? I've just noticed that that's curved right there. That must be curved to fit on the curve of that body. So let's see if we can fix that. Right, so that's my mistake. So this bit, this line in here should actually be curved, so we're going to have to rub this out a little bit. Just like that. Now it still starts and stops in the same place, so we'll leave that as it is, but in actual fact, oops, in actual fact it's got a kind of gentle curve on here. Just like that. And what that means is on the elevation, there's a little extra hidden detail where that comes down. Just like that. Okay, right, end elevation. Elevation plan, now we go to the end elevation. So let's project across from the elevation. Let's send these lines across. Now, effectively we're standing over here. Okay, and we're looking at the elevation. So let's just do the visible stuff first of all. I'd be able to see this bit that sticks out. Let's project that across. And I'd be able to see the top of the shape. Project this across as well. Now we come to stick in a 45-degree bounce line, and we have to decide where we're going to put that. If we put the bounce line in there, then that means that the end elevation will be across in this area right here. If we put the bounce line away along here, that has the effect of putting our end elevation away along here. And I want to put a title box in here, so let's bring the bounce line in a little bit closer. Okay, I'm going to stick it in there. That's actually maybe a bit too close, so let's put it out here instead. And we're going to try our best to get that to 45 degrees. Now let's send these lines down like that. So again, we're just working with the overall shapes, the big shapes. Let's figure out what we can see if we were stood over in this position right here. Alright, so we'd be able to see this little shelf sticking out towards us. So let me just darken that up. In fact, we'd see this whole side wall like that, and like that. This little edge in here, let's project that across because that would be hidden from us. So there's a piece of hidden detail in there, like that. And what else do we need to locate? We need to locate the position of, that bit there. The inside of that kind of tunnel would also be a piece of hidden detail, like that. And then it's about locating the holes. So let's go with the faraway hole first of all. So take that to there, send it down. It passes through these two bottom pieces here, like that. And then this centre line of this hole, let's find where that goes. It goes to there, it comes down. Okay, so this is the centre line right here. Let's figure out how wide the hole is. Send lines out, pass them down. Okay, so it is between there and there. Let's do that for the other one. Edge of the hole and down. Right, centre lines, centre line through here, centre line through there, centre line through there. Right, so I think I'm pretty confident that that's the drawing laid out as it is. Next stage we need to do is put in dimensions for this. Now this is tricky at this stage because they've not given us a lot of dimensions here. They're asking us to infer or to guess or to proportionally determine the other set of dimensions. So let's look at the ones that they've given us already. And I'd like to start with the overall sizes. And they've pretty much only given us 3. Alright, so they've told us that the overall width is 30 and that the part is 3mm thick. And they've also told us that this is to fit a 32 diameter handlebar. Alright, so let's see if we can put those dimensions in first of all. So the 31 I'm going to put in over here. Okay, so dimension line. Now I'm going to go, it's an overall dimension, so I'm going to go quite far out from the shape. Quite far out from the shape because I don't know if I'm going to have to put anything in the shape. Okay, nice slim filled in arrowheads. And the dimension on its side, like that. Okay. Other stuff they've told us that it's 3mm thick, so where can we put that in? We can probably put that in over here. Now that's a smaller dimension, okay? That's not one of the overall ones, so I'm going to keep that slightly closer to the shape. Alright, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to put an arrow on top and an arrow underneath. I'm going to write 3 on its side. Now let's see what other dimensions we have to put in here. Remember, we have to dimension this with enough detail that somebody else could make it in CAD. Alright, so what else can we put in? Things we know about. Well, we know that the radius of this is, well, the diameter is 32, so it's 32 across the full circle. So the radius, we're looking at part 1, the radius of this must be 16, it must be half of that. Alright, so we know, for example, then, that size in there is radius R 16. Okay. So then it starts to become guesswork. We just have to start looking at what is proportionately or what correct. All right. So for example, this hole looks like it's halfway across. All right. So let's put in a size there. Okay, and let's say that it's halfway across because it's up to us. Okay. So let's say that that's 15, half of 30. Going across like that. Alright. Now we have to determine how wide, let's say, how long it is. Can we figure that out yet? Well, this is where we start to use pieces of paper as trammels and things like that. Right, so if that's 30 wide, okay, if that's 30 right there, we can see, right, there's one 30 and another 30. That takes us to 60. Okay, so that in my drawing that looks like 30 right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that in. From there to there. Looks like it's 30. From there to the centre lines of these holes also looks like it's 30 because that kind of matches what's up the side there. So let's put another dimension in. And let's say from the centre line to there is also 30. And then we need to figure out how wide that bit is in there. We'll come to that in a minute. What else do we need to figure out? Okay, so that's going to be 3. That's going to be 3 all the way around there. This will also be 3. I guess we better put that in. That little bit in there. Okay. Let's put 3 in there, like that. Alright. And this is basically what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to go around the shape, trying to figure out what these sizes are. You can use a trammel, you can use a piece of paper, okay, and try and figure out, put 2 marks on it that you know are true, and try and figure out what other sizes are going to be, alright? So I'm going to leave that up to you, alright? Other things that you need to make this drawing complete is once you've put in the dimensions, under each view you need to put in the name of the view. Okay, so we have to do that. I like to put in 2 little tram lines. Let's keep things kind of neat. Elevation. And then along here I've got end elevation. Okay, just like this. And then somewhere on the page we also need a title box as well, because all good drawings have a title box. So over here I'm just going to put in a box, quite simple. And the things I'm going to put is in here, I'm going to put my name. Right, so we'll write that in just now. I'm going to put in the name of the part. Well, now they told us what it was called, didn't they? So this is part 1. Okay, so let's rub that out. Okay, so let's go ahead and write part 1. Okay, and that's of question 3A. I'm going to put in question 3A just so we can keep track of things. And then it's up to you what else you put in it, okay? So in here, I'm going to put the date, okay? Now, I'll leave that blank because you can put in whatever date you're doing this on, okay? So you're going to put the date in there, and I'm going to put not to scale, okay? Or actually, I'm going to put units in here. I'm going to say millimetres. Now what's important over here is we need the little third angle projection symbol. And the third angle projection symbol looks like this. Big circle, wee circle, mapping to a kind of truncated cone. And that tells anybody who's looking at the drawing how they must read the drawing. Alright? And this is what I'm expecting you to do. 3 related views of the part, a difference between construction lines and outlines. I want you to make sure your views are labelled. I want you to make sure your centre marks and your centre lines are in. And then I want you to put down as many dimensions as is required for somebody else to be able to make the part out of CAD.